It says go live.
Welcome to Bare Bones. With your host, Danny Meehan and Dr. Mason West.
Welcome into this episode of Bare Bones. As always, I am Mason West, joined by Danny Meehan and Khari Thompson. How y'all doing?
Doing all right. Just found out that after a entire, just a whirlwind of activity, I am going to go to the Combine next week on behalf of Windy City Gridiron. So sure, y'all check it out.
Dude, that's so exciting. Like, I was going to go to the Combine this year, and then it turned out I have a vacation with my mom on the same weekend. So, mom wins.
Mom will always win. Don't you worry. And in celebration of Kyrie going, I have one of his town beers tonight.
Well, I wouldn't call it one of mine. I don't really get down with Sam Adams like that, but I literally live like I live 2 train stops from.
Do you have to be semantic all the time?
Listen, I have to. Yes, I do. Okay, telling the truth. Okay, and making sure we're on the same page is very important. That sounds good.
This is true that we have cohesion and synergy.
We absolutely need that because we are going to be putting together the perfect Bears off-season, including cuts, free agency, draft, all of that, all the shenanigans there. Basically just trying to use this tool that they put together on Tap Sports. Our boy Q, Buckus, at Buckus Stats on Twitter, does this every year, and I hope he keeps doing it every year because it's just fun to play with. Just to get an idea of, and it's an estimation in terms of the money and all that stuff, but he uses good references to try to come up with these numbers and basically what the depth chart is going to look like, which is
and he was a much smarter technological man than I.
Yeah, I couldn't do
even for film breakdown. Like I can't even write notes on a notes app. I physically have a notepad and a pen, and I physically write my notes down as I'm watching because I'm apparently 75 years old.
How do you?
I mean, honestly, when I was filling out the spreadsheet, I was like, oh yeah, this is so nifty. But I'm over here like, what, these buttons and these drop down menus? Like, what is all this? I don't like this. Can somebody help me?
And then even to get to that point, you got to make a copy of it. You can't just click and go.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that was the hard part, making a copy.
Well,
hey,
yeah.
Listen, man. My job is to go into things set on fire. There is nothing
I literally was about
thinking about.
Literally was about to say that. I'm glad you beat me to the punch right there because I was be like, this dude runs into burning buildings for a living. I don't think he knows no computers like that.
Well,
it's like a Google spreadsheet.
That's an aggressive way to call me stupid.
It really was. And this is what we are talking about.
You did it first, bro.
Pulling up here. This is probably an episode that is best seen in person if you can. Watching the YouTube clip, but we're going to try the best we can to talk through this. So if you are listening on the podcast, you still can get a good bit out of it. But it's like you said, it's a spreadsheet. There's a lot of numbers and all that jazz. So we'll do the best we can for those who are listening on the pod. But first thing that we do for this is cuts. Right, we got to make room on the roster. Take away some of the dead weight. Add individuals in. Oh, by the way, for this exercise, for the most part, I'll be playing Devil's advocate / tiebreak
You're Ryan
person.
Poles. I'm Jeff King. He's Ian Cunningham.
Yeah. Ian might not be with us all that long, but so who knows at what point we have to kick Khari off the show.
Get out, Khari.
Yeah.
Go to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Detroit
So of course, it's got to be me. Then again, I hope you.
Truth be told, I was doing it by race.
Getting rid of me, jerks.
I was doing it by race.
Just doing it by race.
I know.
And anyway, so let's go first to my right-hand man, Ian Cunningham, assuming he's still around if we don't get a comp pick. So basically, by the way, we're doing this based off how things currently are as of February 20th. So the Bears don't have a comp pick. Ian Cunningham is not currently the Jaguars GM. Maybe that changes sometime over this weekend or whatever, but for right now. So Khari, just kind of seeing who's here. Who's your first person you're giving the axe to? Just say, you know what, we thank you, but no thank you. We don't need your services anymore.
Starting at the top of the list, Ricky Stromberg. We clean. We're gonna.
I'm gonna use my Ryan Poles, and I'm gonna say no. Go to Jacksonville. I'm not cutting Ricky. Why would I? We have no centers.
Why? He's a minimum.
Because you're gonna get new centers. You're going to revamp the center position. We've been talking all about how the center position is not good. Okay, I want new centers. So yeah, I'm gonna draft one. I'm gonna maybe sign one in free agency, and then you're good. What do we need him for? If he was good, wouldn't we know by now?
This is killing Mason on the inside because this was like his boy a couple of years ago.
It was.
If he was good, wouldn't we know by now?
No, because I honestly think that he got signed
Wasn't
and still
his
had some
injury
stuff.
pretty significant?
Yeah, I think he still had some rehab and some to come back to football shape after that injury. So I think that's why he hasn't. Here's the thing, too, keeping in mind, I mean, we can cut people at any point in time, right? I mean, like, it could be training camp when we say goodbye, Ricky, because you're going to have more than 53. So I'm going to pull my Ryan Poles card. I'm going to say we're keeping Ricky for now. Let's see how free agency and how the draft goes before we start cutting our only center that we have.
Well, I think that's fair. And I think this is one of the interesting things, right, is going through this and thinking about who's a pre-June 1st, who's a post-June 1st. Like, so for example, when I was looking through this, no, I didn't have Ricky Stromberg as a pre-June 1st. I had him as, I was thinking of him like training camp, you bring in competition, and he doesn't make the cut from there. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, we got to lose him right now. Because the thing is, like, that's the option, right? Is you could pick pre-June 1st, post,
Well, that's the thing too, right? You can also just pick someone and put them as post-June 1st anyway, right? You can tell them today, hey, we don't need your services, but you designate them as post-June 1st. And I mean, can one of y'all dive into, the difference between pre and post? Because I think a lot of people struggle with why you might do that.
It's the league year, right? It's when the league year starts. So basically, the money doesn't carry over from the current season. Because we're still technically, at the moment, in the 2024 season, right? Or the 2025 season. So that's basically all it is. It's just the start of a new league calendar, I believe is what it is. I could be wrong on the terminology, but it's basically just an arbitrary date they pick to basically say the league calendar is turning over.
It essentially allows you to release players right before June 1st, give them this post-June 1st designation, and spread the dead cap charge over 2 seasons. So, it actually saves you some money. Teams can use that for up to 2 players per season, and that player becomes immediately available on the market. They can sign with a different team while the cap dollars are still available. The team can mitigate the immediate impact of the dead cap. So just keep in mind also with this exercise, like if we're going to designate someone as post-June 1st, that would only be 2 individuals. But like Khari just said also too, like, I mean, you can cut someone after June. We're in the middle of training camp and it happens all the time. That's the biggest part of Hard Knocks is which, person at the end of the roster is fighting for 53 versus 54.
Which white guy does Mount Greenwood love the most?
Exactly. So, Khari, I'm going to give you a mulligan.
I was going to say, to clarify real quick before we move on,
yes.
I believe technically the new league year begins at the start of free agency.
That was a mistake on my end.
However, I mean, they do kind of have like the arbitrary like June 1st date, which is just really, really interesting why they choose to do that instead of doing it on the technical start of
because the NFL does what it wants and we won't leave.
So Khari, I'm going to give you a mulligan. Since I'm keeping Ricky by executive decision, who is your other person you might want?
We're one move into this.
Okay, my God. I think that we need to get a couple new edges. So, like for example, I don't think Jammery Chroma's necessarily gonna hold, and I also think Dominique Robinson will finally meet his doom this year.
Yay!
Any reason you want to keep Dominique, Danny?
No, I have no reason to keep Dominique. The only reason I could see him sticking around, maybe at all, is the type that Dennis Allen very clearly has for his defensive linemen being enormous human beings. And Dom is big. He's not good, but he is big. But I think
that could be like a post again. We'll maybe see.
Yeah, we'll get someone in free agency, and then Dom can say bye-bye.
All right.
Exactly.
I'm cool cutting him, though. He sucks. Whatever. Get off my team.
All right, we'll just cut him. Screw it. All right, he's gone too. Danny, who might you want to cut?
TJ Edwards, honestly. I don't know that TJ warrants the cap hit anymore. He's a sure tackler. He's just not that good anymore.
This podcast has already gone so differently than I thought. With Kyrie's getting rid of our only center, you're getting rid of like one of our starting linebackers. I have no idea what's happening here.
But tell me, I would love to get rid of Tremaine instead. But
yeah. See, I was gonna say, at least for me, I'm getting rid of somebody who's probably not gonna be here anyway. But I think.
But my question is, are you extending TJ Edwards? Does he have a place on this team when he's good or when they're good?
I just don't know why you have to cut him today, though.
Okay, fine. We'll hold off. Whatever.
Well, here's the interesting thing about the exercise, and I feel like maybe that's something that we didn't talk over beforehand. But I feel like some of this is like cutting them today, right? But I think I was thinking about it in terms of who would I cut today, but also who do I think will be cut in the end, right? And I think that's kind of where Danny's looking at it as well. It's like, okay, we're obviously not cutting TJ Edwards right now, right? Or
I think Kyrie's got the nail on the head there.
Why would you do that? That doesn't make sense.
Let's go with the obvious ones that are going to be cut before we even hit draft day.
Do we?
You think?
So?
I think Ryan Bates is.
You think Poles gives up on Ryan Bates finally after chasing him for years?
He's awful, and he's hurt and awful is no way to go through life.
I think the hurt and bad part is true. I think I could see them going into camp with just a ton of interior offensive linemen, and letting them fight it out. Now, I think to your point, in the end, I could totally see it.
Sure. So I'm gonna go with a couple people and just cut them that I think are gonna be cut. They're not even making it.
Yeah. Like who just straight up is not gonna be here. Like I saw like Jordan.
Get rid of the gift.
I'm cutting Gerald Everett. He's gone.
I did too.
I'm blown away that wasn't the first name out of either of your mouths.
I mean, I was going down the spreadsheet on my phone.
No, we're going with obvious ones. Just the people that are gone. We know.
Yeah, but look, I'm sorry because I saw that name right at the top and I'm like, that was the first name. But yes, I think Gerald Everett. Bye. Obviously Jordan McFadden, probably bye. You're trimming.
I was thinking more of the people that we were like, we are going to be like talked about in the media as like, oh, the Bears cut this person, not like the last.
Yeah, Kyrie's cutting the guys that are like the 53rd of people on the roster.
Like, I mean, sure, I can cut Theo Benedict.
Are we not? Are we not thinking about cutting those guys and how we fill in? I'm sorry. I'm only the assistant general manager.
What do we go to training camp with? That's what I want to know.
Okay.
All right, here's another one that I'm gonna throw out there. Put your Danny really quickly. You're gonna be my special teams coordinator as well. Can we improve and cut our kicker, Cairo Santos?
I'm fine with cut. So I will say this is double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through the cavalcade of clown card kickers who just can't come in here and make a kick to save their lives. Cairo, I believe, was 9th or 10th in the league in field goals made over 50 yards last year. His issue is his leg strength because once you get to 53 or longer, he can't hit it. Versus there's a lot of guys now like 57 is like that's a capable kick. Cairo does not have that in his bag, as it were. Am I okay cutting him? Yes, he's an expensive kicker, but he is a reliable kicker.
I feel like okay. Yeah. I feel like
I'm okay cutting him.
I think in theory, yes. In theory. But I'm not cutting him without seeing what, undrafted.
Well, who's the kicker in the fourth round we can draft, Ryan Poles?
Yeah, and I think especially for this year, because I think that this is going to be a year when you're hoping that you make the playoffs with Ben Johnson being, and yeah, there's going to be some growing pains with the offense and all that stuff. But I think this is a year where you're looking at it like, yeah, we should be decent at least this year. I don't know if I want to cut my reliable kicker this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just over the fact that I can't be confident with like a 55-yard dang field goal.
True.
I'm kind of in that same boat. Like, yeah, 53 is great. 55 is not possible.
How about some devil's advocate here? Okay. So, yes, I understand that. Like in a gotta have it situation, can I trust my kicker to hit it from 57? You're probably not saying yes if you're talking about Cairo Santos. But if we're talking about, it's like 4th and 3 or something like that, or 4th and 4, and you got a shot at a 57-yard field goal. I mean, I'm going for it anyway, so does it really matter?
So based on what I'm hearing from the room, sounds like we're holding on to Cairo and maybe bringing a kicker in for competition and training camp, and we'll see what happens.
Can I bring up a name that might not be popular just because he's expensive?
Yes.
DeMarcus Walker?
That was actually literally the name I was going to bring up next. Because
that's a conversation that you need to have.
If you cut him pre-June 1st, you're saving a little over $5 million. If you cut him post-June, yeah, same thing, about $5 million. But he's making a decent cap hit at this point.
What is he, $6 million, it says?
Is he, just under $6 million. Is he giving you enough at this point that you're willing to,
that $6 number, he is a productive football player, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a hard name because you don't have any good linemen. Your best one is coming off of a ruptured pec, right?
Correct.
So,
I think I'll address this one a little bit more in depth in the next slide. I agree that this should be a conversation piece. I think with some of the cuts we've already made, I'm kind of like, I don't know that I want to do that right now. That would be yeah, and I think that'd be a later thing. And again, what I'm going to say here, we could address this a little bit more later. If he's your second guy, right? So if he's a rotational piece and not a starter, then I think that is perfectly fine.
Okay. I think like Danny said, it's just a conversation to have, and the fact that we're even waffling shows that maybe again come June we have we make a different decision.
All right, so are we good to go to free agency then?
Yes, we are. First though, we're gonna throw in here a quick break, and then we'll get into free agency.
Whee!
All right, free agency time. So this is obviously the one that was probably the most. Oh, and by the way, someone said in the chat, how often is someone kicking a 57-yard field goal, and most kickers are hitting from the distance or not kicking in the Midwest? I think y'all forgot that part. First of all, insane that y'all forgot that part. I fucking live here, bro. I know what Midwest weather is. It's like 7 degrees outside. Second of all, just in through the first 2 weeks of 2024 season, kickers had already hit 35 or 39 field goals from 50 yards or longer. And that's across the entire league course, but that's a lot of dang field goals. A lot of kicks are above 50 at this point. And it changes you don't see the Bears do it as often last year because their kicker can't do it. And you also had lost a game specifically because their kicker had to do a lower trajectory kick because he doesn't have the leg strength. So get off me. Anyway.
No, sorry, Dad.
Okay, buddy, dang.
It's just it's fine. He's it's to defend Cairo like that's just weird. What a weird stance. Whatever. Weird flex, bro. So, Danny, who's the first person you're hoping that we announce we have signed
So,
come tampering period?
I don't want to go the obvious route because everyone's going to say Trey Smith, right? It's the obvious one. He's got the connection to Poles. He played with Darnell Wright at Tennessee, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to get there. I think he's probably a pretty good odds-on favorite to end up a Bear. The name I want to bring up is an interesting name. Goodbye, Zach. Great career. Never had a holding penalty against him except it.
Officially retired today.
Yeah, but Dio Odeyingbo.
I should have just guessed you were going to say him.
Yeah.
Not even bad. I should have guessed it.
Yeah. Enormous, big human being. He is led the Colts in pressures last year and led them in sacks 2 seasons ago. He fits the style of defensive end that DA typically targets, and they got to address the trenches of the guy. I want this to be the most eat your vegetables and fruits, boring offseason of all time. Get your fatties up front. Stop building your team outside in. It doesn't work. Build your team inside out and figure it out from there.
So to play my devil's advocate role, looks like Dio is being projected here by PFF for a little over 14 mil, using up a decent chunk of your cap space. Is there someone else that might come in cheaper that also fits the mold and also could be productive off the edge?
The easy connection is Peyton Turner, but I think he's just garbage and he's always hurt. A name I kind of like, and it's probably just based off your pre-draft evaluation, Joe Tryon is a free agent, and he's another big guy who is in Tampa, and I don't think he would be too expensive. I think $5 million was the number on him when I saw it.
Sorry, so which name was that again?
Joe Tryon.
Thank you. Yeah, if you're looking, just as an example, AAV 5 mil, cap hit 4.5, so definitely more affordable. It depends what you're going for too. Are you going? In theory, the way I want to approach free agency, and I think most GMs want to do this, doesn't always happen, is that you enter the draft without quote unquote holes with players that you're confident in. And so the question ends up becoming, if you're entering the draft with Joe Tryon as your edge opposite Sweat,
you don't feel good about that. No.
Probably not, right? A name I'll throw out there, Chase Young. He's going to make a little more. He's got the name. He had a decent year last year. Is he worth looking at? He's making $2 million more though, projected, than your boy Deo would.
Yeah, I would say Deo, just because the other part you got to factor in, who did Ryan Poles cut his teeth under? Chris Ballard. He learned a lot from Chris Ballard. If Chris Ballard likes a player, there's a good chance Ryan Poles likes that same player.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's throw it in there, unless you have any objections, Khari.
No, indeed.
All right, sounds good. Anywho, Khari, so Danny went with Deo. Who would you go with as your first call that if we're just skipping Trey Smith for now?
I would say, and I wonder how you
skip
feel
Trey
about
Smith.
this.
You got to factor in his number.
We do, but I just want everyone to have their heart person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, and I wonder what you'll think about this because he's old, but very, very good and has a direct tie to Ben Johnson. Kevin Zeitler, the guard for the Detroit Lions. Maybe bring him in on a 1-year deal and see how he holds up at age 35, which I would like to point out at age 34, he had one of the best seasons of his entire career. He was really damn good. And again, this is a guy that you bring him in for a year. He helps teach the offense. Just miles better than anything that you had at offensive guard on the interior period last year. And then you groom younger talent behind him. And again, put somebody stalwart in front of Caleb Williams who can also run block the hell out of you.
By the way, I'm all aboard with this. I'm going to put Trey Smith in because if we're going to now talk about, some of the other guards, we're hoping.
We're all just assuming Trey's a foregone conclusion in our rendition of this, right? We don't have to talk about.
If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But it'd be.
I see you weird people out there too finding out that his girlfriend's from Chicago and black. Leave the people alone, man. God, fans are weird. dating back to the
Very.
going to Chicago
mean,
executive to follow the plane landing.
I mean, think about it.
Oh,
Like,
weird.
first of all,
Touch
yes,
some grass,
fans
man.
fans generally are weird. Also, Bears fans like us are weird. Why are we fans of this team? Why are we willingly fans of the Chicago Bears? If you really think about it,
that's a fair point, Kyrie. But there's a difference between being weird and being obsessive to the point of you're taking time off work to go follow someone at Chicago Executive Airport who doesn't give a damn about you.
Yes, we can analyze the Chicago id all on a different day. There's a lot we got to get through, y'all. We're not doing this tangent. So I know for a fact that Danny, you have a different guy in mind for guard. Would you like to put forth your reasoning as to why you'd want that individual instead of Zeitler?
Becton, as I assume you're referring to.
Yeah.
I would bet if in this version of this, because I'm getting Dial, I would probably back off of Becton because Becton's going to be more expensive. And I think you need to reserve money for another big splash somewhere that maybe is not that is not a Mekhi Becton, especially because Kevin Zeitler you can get for about 2 years, like what, 10, 12 million, right? Like it's not going to be a very expensive player. And then you
right
can
now
go somewhere
they have
else
the cap hit looking like to be about 6.2 for Zeitler versus for Becton, I believe, about 8.1.
Yeah, so I would sooner save the $2 million and get the guy that can enforce the message that Ben Johnson is trying to get across in the offensive line room.
So to play devil's advocate, I'm throw this out there. You have someone else sitting there. It's your head pro or your head college scout. Like, well, isn't our plan in the draft to use one of our higher picks on a plug and play rookie guard? So why are we paying Zeitler 6.2 when we can just get a rookie guard that we can throw in there? Isn't it a waste of money?
Pro scout, go away.
Well, I would say the plug and play rookie guard, but again, if we're talking about the counter to that would be if we're talking about Caleb Williams' development and wanting him to take off in year 2, yeah, you could do the plug and play rookie guard. Wouldn't you rather have the better player?
And like I said, I'm
also, wouldn't
all
you
on
want
board
the
with this because
stability?
I think it's silly to go into the draft assuming anything is going to happen. We've seen time and time again, the draft does weird things. You have a player that you think is going to be, or multiple players you think are going to be there and they're not. You have multiple players that you think are going to be day one starters that aren't, the ones that you think won't be that are. It's just, I would rather go into this and say, you know what, I'm wasting a year of that rookie's contract, but I feel more confident with Zeitler, kind of a thing.
Yes, agreed.
All right, beautiful. So we got Trey Smith, Kevin Zeitler so far. We haven't addressed the awkward elephant in the middle. What's our plan for center?
I'll be the unpopular one here. And the center from Green Bay, I have a sneaking suspicion is someone that they will like. As if nothing else, a stopgap.
Explain that. Explain why him, because I don't get it.
Because he's a big people mover who's young, and maybe you get untapped potential. Ben Johnson, from everything we can tell, likes big offensive linemen. And Coleman Shelton is not big, can't anchor, can't move people, even though he did get better last year. Josh Myers, for the record. I don't think he's good. But I think he's a worthwhile gamble for a guy who isn't going to be super expensive that you can probably get on a 2 or 3 year deal, who is going to be a guy you can probably surround with 2 guards like Zeitler and Trey Smith, and maybe you get the best out of him.
Right now, this has Josh Myers, but you mentioned a younger, 27 years old. He weighs 310 pounds, give or take, just for those 6'5", 310, so big individual. 3.5 cap hit. My brain, obviously, Drew Dahlman's the one that people keep talking about, but he's going to be 9.7, and that seems like a lot when you're already. I
also have a hard time seeing just because of the amount of teams with a lot. Yes, the Bears have a ton of cap. So do a lot of other teams right now. I have a hard time envisioning them getting both Dahlman and Smith. Doesn't.
Let's pretend that doesn't happen just because they get outbid by $1 million and whatever. The other name that I thought about was Evan Brown, because he's played both guard and center, so you get versatility there. And so, maybe if you do go into the draft and you find someone you like, your center of the future, your Evan Brown can end up being kind of your swing guard because he has the combination of both. And he's a big dude.
Can I offer you up a Ryan Kelly idea?
Ryan
game in Indianapolis.
Same thing. So the question there is, right, I think, because some people think he might retire. Isn't that part of it too? And it looks like he's maybe like $9 million or so against the cap.
I mean, it was just another idea.
No, it's an interesting idea. So I'm just throwing out there, because in theory, then, right? Maybe you're saying maybe it's a 2-year deal, and then you're hoping there's an heir apparent that you're drafting, and if you can convince him, if only. Khari, what are your thoughts on this center debacle?
So I actually was game planning for somehow the disastrous scenario in which you don't get any of the top centers that you're hoping for, or you make big splashes elsewhere.
You're mean.
And you end up, saying, okay, let's go a little bit cheaper, and actually bringing Coleman Shelton back for another go round. Which is again,
let that happen. I don't know if
listen, and again, this is like kind of dystopian planning here, kind of thinking outside of the box. But I think the reality is
not dystopian.
Yeah, I know. But I think and part of it, honestly, is I feel like the last couple of years, we're like, oh yeah, they're totally going to get a big name center. They're totally going to get a good center. They're definitely going to do it this year, right? And they never did. Now, part of my reasoning here is that if they don't get who they want, and they know Shelton, he knows Caleb Williams, they have that relationship. It's not something you have to kind of build up from the ground up. But then you're also drafting a guy that can maybe fit in there and kick Shelton out. But he's a placeholder. I mean, he's not the guy. He's not the guy.
What if we did the Ryan, the Myers idea, but then you could upgrade Zeitler to, because of the money you're saving, what if you could then upgrade him to Becton?
I just don't want a bad football player on my team if I can help it.
I mean,
you're going to have bad football players inevitably.
Yeah, but I don't want that as my start. I just think Myers is not a good football player. I don't think he's good at all.
I don't think he is either. I'm looking at this.
Yeah, and I think some of it is there's going to be a spot somewhere on this team where you're going to cut corners. It just is what it is, right? You can't have premium players at every single position.
Correct.
So
100% agree.
So I think of it this way, right? If your offensive line is theoretically going to be Darnell Wright, solid, ascending, Braxton Jones, solid. I mean, he's okay. He's okay. And then you beef up the guards, right? So you get Trey Smith, whether it's Zeitler, Becton, whomever it is. And then, okay, we'll put Colton Shelton in the middle of that. And then you've got protection on either side of him. You could live with that kind of thing. Or if it's not Shelton and it's a rookie, you could live with that too, right? As long as you get the guards figured out. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of viewing center as being like, if there's going to be a place where you're going to cut corners on this offensive line, that's probably going to be the one.
All right. Well, I'm going to offer.
The other part about the Coleman Shelton idea, that he does have experience with Caleb. Caleb knows him. And that matters. That
I've experienced with my ex-girlfriend. I don't need to see her again. All right. I'm pulling my GM card.
Unneeded.
You got Dio, Khari got Zeitler. You guys can pick. You can either take Evan Brown or Bradley Bozeman. I want something different. I want at least a functional trash can. I don't want an actual revolving door and Coleman Shelton or Josh Myers.
I would probably take Bozeman, but
all right, we'll go with Bozeman. Again, I just want someone that I can be at least I feel okay.
Myers.
What was that?
He's more expensive than Myers, and you're poo-pooing the idea.
No, it's not that's the thing between Bozeman and Myers. That's not the price. I will pay. What is that difference? I'll pay an extra $500,000 to never have Myers near my team.
Okay, so on to the next thing. We on to the next
Moving
thing
on.
yet? We doing this?
We're okay. We have to still any other positions which are plentiful. I mean, we literally have 43 people on a roster right now that we should be
let's go
looking
with some
at. And
easy
now,
ones. Tim Patrick.
Tim Patrick. Thank you. That's exactly where I was going.
Yes.
Someone talk about how awesome Tim Patrick is and why this works.
Tim Patrick is a blocker. He's a big body. He's got some Gawagi to him. He can go up and get it. Man has overcome some of the most egregious football injuries in back-to-back seasons you could ever want to come back from. And he's going to be cheap. And he's completely content being your wide receiver 4 or 5. Like,
It's going to be the best
another
wide
name just
receiver,
because I'm
like
me
3 or 4 in the league.
and I have to, because I'm me and I have to live on brand, I would like to broach the idea of 1-2-2 Atwell. Again, you just need wide receiver bodies.
When I was practicing, I put Tutu Atwell in here, so I can do that.
I did Tutu Atwell, and I even threw in another sneaky name here, which is probably going to be a little bit too much. But like, Braxton
couldn't you
Berrios.
envision Tutu Atwell being like Khalif Raymond? Like, has his packages, he can probably. Oh man, Norwood Park just erupted in celebration for Braxton Berrios.
I mean, first of all, Berrios is not too expensive. Like, at least by this, he's $1 million.
Yeah, he's not too expensive. He can return for you. Pretty
And the other thing
sure-handed
is, you
and
just
reliable
need
in
bodies in
standpoint.
that room.
Yeah.
And Tutu allows you to, as much as I like Tyler Scott, it allows you to move on from Tyler Scott.
Yeah, I think it's time. It might be time for the Tyler Scott thing.
We're gonna. Okay. What about interior line? Because we saw specifically that when the Bears lost, right, their man in the middle, their big man, that it was just horrendous because the depth was just not there. So is there someone, I don't know if Danny, Khari, one of you guys have an idea of who you would like to shore up, be secondary, be a third option, depending on what happens in the draft, for that interior defensive line position?
For interior defensive line, I actually, I liked him from his time in New England as well. Byron Cowart, I think you could have him in there as a pretty cheap option as a rotational piece.
What about, here's a name, Danny or Khari. What about Roy Lopez? I really like him.
Big fan of his show.
Okay.
What?
Clearly not a Roy Lopez fan. I just think he's a big man that just eats up space, but also has some surprising.
Yeah, that's it. They do need. What about BJ Hill? BJ Hill takes up space. He's a good player.
That's fine. I just thought he was gonna be too expensive. He's gonna command in this exercise at least $9.7 million.
Never mind. I thought he'd be cheaper.
Versus Roy Lopez, they got him at 1.7.
Should we pair the squatty short fat men and grab Poona Ford to come to town too?
Is that too many fat men at this point, or no? Is that like
I experimented with putting Poona Ford on there, and I was like, ooh, I don't know, that would be a little much.
Because that was a name that I did think about when I was going through this exercise.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm going through the names right now as I can. Javon Kinlaw is interesting, but he's going to be more expensive because you never drop your draft pedigree, like ever.
No, you don't. Okay, we technically need a long snapper. Let's just grab someone. Who's got the best name? Jack McQuaid, obviously. Boom. Jake, I can't read. All right. Any other positions that you think we need more bodies at? We need like just some shots.
I mean,
a name I had on edge was Azeez Ojulari.
I like Azeez Ojulari. It's just a body. Yeah. I mean, Peyton Turner, I think, is interesting just because of the connection, and he's not going to be super expensive because he's been hurt like his whole career. Or if you want to go the other way for the connection again, he just was in Minnesota after being in New Orleans and in Detroit, right? What's his name? They traded up to get him from UTEP. I can picture him. I can't think of his name. What's his name?
Describe the letters that make up his first name.
Yeah, good luck on me pulling that.
Marcus Davenport?
Davenport. That's it.
Honestly, that was also a name I had just because of connection. Like, and body type.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, Marcus Davenport, you got signed for 1.1 mil. Sweet.
Hey.
That's another
Another.
I like how I can
former-
recall the trade up, the stupid college he went to. I can't pull his
But
name
heaven
out of my
forbid the
head.
name.
There we go.
Yeah.
Another former Detroit Lion that might factor in at edge, Julian Okora.
Oh, yeah.
I like Julian Okora. I always have too.
I mean, again, solid player, right? As a rotational guy.
They had both the Okora brothers, right? Julian and Romeo.
I think they did at one point. They had Julian and Romeo. Yeah.
No, I'm in the wrong spot. That's why. There you go. 1.5.
Thank you,
right,
Q, for noticing my gap.
So now I feel more comfortable cutting Dominique. We have people. It's great.
Hey,
and you have bodies that are. Look at that.
I don't feel like we need to sign a fullback, right? I mean, that's just we'll draft like a tight end or something.
Yeah. Make some rookie tight end go smash into people, or like just a blocking tight end.
Q like the Davenport one. Yay. All right, cool. We are chilling.
Can you just humor me and look at what Raekwon McMillan's salary cap number would be? Just humor me.
Do that.
I can absolutely do that.
Yeah, he was really bad last year. It was unfortunate because that's another guy, honestly, that I think
you're really selling me on this guy.
In terms of his character and being able to come back from injury after injury, he's a tough dude. He's a veteran, but damn, he blew every single run fit last year. It was ghastly.
Yeah, I had to ask.
I mean,
I think Raekwon McMillan 2 years ago, before his ACL blew up, sure.
I've always liked him too because he's kind of like he was the undersized little scrappy linebacker that could.
Yeah.
That was more like.
Yeah, I actually think for him the way that he flies around and plays, like if he were down to accept like a special teams role or like a sub package role, like that kind of thing. I mean, he still runs around. He'll hit you, But I view him at this point in his career. He's a special teams guy. You can't really play him.
Yeah, you're probably right. I just saw the name as I was scrolling through there, and I just was like curious because I know, like you said, 2 seasons ago, he was a pretty productive football player.
Okay, so do we need? And then one more I just want to bring up before you move on to draft stuff. Do we need any depth right now for a cornerback?
I wouldn't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, and one name that I had in mind that didn't turn out as expensive as I thought. Jonathan Jones, another guy out here from Patriots land. And the cool thing about Jones is that he's both. I mean, he played a lot of slot corner in his career, but in recent years, he's shown that despite being undersized, he can stick out there on an island on the outside. I personally think that Jonathan Jones would be an upgrade over Tyreek Stevenson, for example.
A couple names,
but I don't think you're necessarily gonna do that.
Mm-hmm. A couple names down from him because Jones was a name I looked at. I also looked at Dante Jackson, press man corner, run around.
Yeah.
Was at one point a very fast. But I think he was a good player, and I think they're going to be playing a lot of. I think historically, Allen runs a lot of cover one, so you're going to have a lot of press man and guys that are playing bump and run, which is really, if you look at the design of the defensive backroom, that's what they should be doing. I also would like to. Are we completely against the idea of cutting the indestructible safety from Tennessee, whose name is escaping me right now?
No, I'm not against it at all. I just want that'd be one that I would definitely see, like, that'd be halfway through training camp. How's your body looking and all that?
Yeah, I think that's
indestructible, man. Yeah, I was just curious.
He played well last year.
He was good, not great. I mean, it's more just I think it's amazing. The guy is just never hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually thought of him when I was looking at it. Man, he's got to be getting up there. The miles have got to be running on him. But I think for him, the experience probably helps him be where he's supposed to be and be decent, even as the physicality maybe starts to erode a little bit. But yeah, I mean, your best ability is availability.
Okay, I would also like to point out it is funny when you look at the names on defensive line we added and just compare them to the names that you're getting rid of, how you go from being tiny and light in the ass to just enormous.
And also, looking at these names, this is silly. This is never happening, but this is fun, so I don't really care. All right, so
fun. It's an exercise in futility.
It's just conversations, really. And that's the best part. All right, another quick break here, and then we'll dive into the draft.
Whee.
Welcome back. Draft time. So normally for the off season during the show, we do the mock drafts, yada yada. This one's gonna be like a small child version of the one that we do at the very end of the season, where we're doing the live one, bunch of trades and conversation, all that. This doesn't need to take us like 45 minutes. We're gonna roll through this relatively quickly, but still try to make something that's reasonable. All right, enter draft mode. Start the draft. Yay.
It's like, all right. And a timer for 1 minute of deliberation begins.
I hit pause because I was going to joke with Danny that we should trade up, but then it wasn't worth the joke, so I stopped doing it. Okay, so just so people know kind of the top 9 who were picked, just because I think that'll be interesting. So when you're thinking about, at least for this pick. So Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Tet McMillan, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, Luther Burden, Shedeur Sanders, Will Campbell at 8. So Will Campbell almost dropped to the Bears. And then Tyler Warren went 9 to the Saints. So we're looking at, if we're going by we're using PFF for this one, for those listening. Just like the top, again, we're not going to necessarily always have to pick who's in the top 5, 6 or whatever, but some of the people that are available, Ashton Genty, Malachi Starks, Jeddy Barron, James, I don't know why he's up here, but whatever. James Pierce, Mike Green, Will Johnson, Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, or Josh Simmons are some of the names. Michael Williams. Make your cases. Who would you like to take?
I really like Nolan.
Danny, I think you're forgetting we took Roy Lopez in free agency. Why do we need Nolan?
I hate you. I hate you.
No, I love that pick. I just love Nolan. I will say that. Just putting it out there.
He's awesome. Dude, he's awesome.
Dude, I think
I'll tell you who I don't like. It's Kelvin Banks. I want nothing to do with it.
Agreed.
To that point, I think the way this board could shape out, this might be an edge. I think that the best player available at the spot. I mean, though you could argue Ashton Genty, is actually.
Let's be real. Isn't he arguably the best player available? Technically.
Yes. I agree.
Yes. Technically, yes.
Okay. As long as that's in the universe, I just needed that.
Positional value. It's positional value that's always going to be the talking point.
Yeah. Then again, whatever. Of course, they took Jahmyr Gibbs, right?
Of these names, if you're talking edge, I would probably go with Pierce over Green, but that's me.
I think, and I could be totally wrong about this. I think that by the time the combine is over and pro days start going and all this stuff, I feel like Michael Williams might end up leapfrogging into this realm. And I think that it could very well end up being him.
I'll tell you who scares the absolute shit out of me is Shamar Stewart. He scares the hell out of me.
In terms of his potential, or in terms of how, like, the funky floor thing?
In terms of nothing makes sense. He leads the SEC in pressures or whatever, but has 1.5 sacks, but everything else is like his pressure to sack rate is like nothing. Like he doesn't win. There's too many red flags, and it's like you're banking on the fact that this guy is, and I'm the Planet Theory guy. Like I believe in that to some extent. It was like the same thing as like, I don't know, pick your random guy that's like, he's not of this earth, but why isn't he good at football?
So I would float out there. It's not going to happen, by the way. Like, just me looking at the board, if I was actually doing this, like the chaos in me would say, obviously Ashton, but we're not doing that. my three that I would say, hey y'all, these are the three that I want, would be Walter Nolan, it'd be Mykal Williams, and I know Danny's gonna rage against this one, but it would be Mike Green.
I'm throwing you out the window.
Yeah. He's just productive as hell. He's got a high motor. It's just like he's got all, besides the size issues, like he's got everything you want. But he went in the Senior Bowl and dominated against guys who were gigantic.
Right, but he doesn't, like, literally, he would have been the smallest far and away edge Dennis Allen has ever coached. And maybe
Correct.
that doesn't matter.
So that's why I don't think it's happening. Correct.
Yeah. I would actually raise you. Will Johnson might be the best available football player here right now. He's just slow.
Yes, that's the problem. He's not fast.
The guy is such a good football player, though. I'm down to make people mad and just take Nolan. Honestly, like I think Nolan rules.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this out there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that we're kind of like you and I, Mason, might be on the tie-breaking accord here. I like Mykal Williams, me personally.
Do we just take him, or do we trade back to try to do something, or do we just take him and move on with our lives?
I mean, with the names on this board,
I think Khari is right. I think Kyrie's right though, but when he's gonna test like a mutant.
Yeah.
He's got and I think
he's got burst. He's going to test like a mutant.
And I think that's gonna change the way that we talk about him. Because, for example, you take him now, like in this PFF mock, they're gonna be like, "Yo, this sucks. Like, what are you doing?" But I think by the time we get to the draft, they're gonna be like, I mean, I was on the conference call with Daniel Jeremiah today for NFL media. He does this annual combine call, and he was just like, "Yeah, I think Mykal Williams is gonna end up being a top 10 pick."
All right, let's
only
aim
thing
for
to consider
Mykal.
with him is. I was going to say the other thing you can consider with Mykal is he's an infant. He's not even 21 years old yet.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, he's somehow 6'5", 265. What a man child. We're gonna trade. Let's trade back. Let's trade back to 13 and hope Mykal's there.
In this scenario, he's gonna be there. And then
I know, but I'm building.
And then we'll.
I hope he goes at 12 just to make Khari look stupid.
Oh, they didn't like that. All right, well, just give me that then. That and that.
They didn't like.
They did not like that.
All right, he's still there. Cool. All right,
Mykal. Yes.
There you go. Mykal Williams, edge, baby giant.
He looks the part, certainly.
By the way, in a different world, and this might even shift. In a different world, like I would absolutely love to take Membu, but that's a whole other thing. So just to highlight a couple.
Oh God, get Jahad Campbell off my screen. He offends my football sensibilities. Oh my God,
we're not going to take him. Just to highlight a couple of people that went, just because I think it's important, just for this pick 21 to the Steelers. Josh Simmons, Kelvin Banks went 22. Armand Membu, who I mentioned, he went 23. So a run on tackles at the end there. Omarion Hampton went, which is unfortunate. He went 25th to the Texans. Shamar Stewart gone. Josh Connerly, tackle gone. Gray Zabel gone to the Commanders. Of course, the Commanders do all the cool things. Gone. Colson Loveland, tight end, gone. And that's kind of like the main ones I'd highlight. All right.
Do we want to take, because in this scenario, we have Zeitler.
Yeah.
Tyler Booker is the name I was thinking of.
Ooh.
I'm down. I don't mind.
Khari, thoughts? Tyler Booker. Oh.
Yep. Yeah. I'm with it.
Cool. All right. Tyler Booker, we're all in agreement. He's probably the best pure guard in this class, I would say. So we will do that. And we're back up again very quickly. Oh, God. I can't. Danny, look away from the screen. You can't have Cam Scadaboo. I'm sorry.
Cam Scadaboo in round 2 is heinous and egregious and offends me.
You can't have him. You can't do it.
I want him this early. He's a round 4 talent. Stop it.
I don't get it. It's so silly that he's this early. All right, so let me float a couple names to you.
It's Tampa Bay trade, right?
Huh?
Caleb Johnson's an easy connection.
Yes. So I had 3 names I saw that I wanted to float at you. One was Alfred Collins, defensive interior. We've had, our defense is like fine at this point. We don't need him, but I love his game. I'd also float out to going with tackle. Ursary, I think, is a very interesting name at this point. And then lastly, like you mentioned, Caleb Johnson, just because I think at this point you've seen Gentie's gone, Hampton's gone. The Bears don't pick again until 72.
Just broken down Caleb Johnson, and Caleb, he's talented, he's good, he looks the part. For my opinion of running backs and what I look for, I didn't care for him.
Well, and can I be honest? Like I'm looking, there's 2 more running backs coming up here, not too far down. You're also going to see Travion Henderson, and also you're going to see Quinten Judkins. Of the 3, I prefer Judkins.
Same. I would go with Judkins as well.
All right, we're going to do that. The reason for this, as we move on to
oh my goodness, Quinten at 41. Oh,
yeah, whatever. You're probably trading back if you can. That's pretty rich. But
I was going to say take Collins there and live with the consequences.
Oh, I would have done that. Anyway, we didn't do that. Okay. Again, if there's anything you're interested in, let me know. But a couple names that I'm going to throw out here. Jonah, I'm not going to say his last name right. Is it Savanea? I haven't looked up the pronunciation yet.
Is Jalen Noel available from Iowa State? Wide receiver.
No.
J-A-Y.
What about Savion Williams? I really like him. Or
Savion Meehan on that.
Okay. Or here's other 2 names. Elijah Arroyo, the tight end, who just is going to run like crazy. Or
I think Elijah Arroyo is really interesting.
Yes, right?
I really like Marcus Mabo, though. When I saw him declared, I got all sorts of giddy and like happy and like feelsy, like honestly.
And we're also creeping up on the Harold Fannin range too.
Harold Fannin. I would probably punt on tight end because I love Harold Fannin. And yeah.
Do you think we can wait and get Harold Fannin at pick 98 and take Mbo now?
I think it's worth a shot.
All right, Marcus, let's join the squad.
I'm sad. This is gonna bite us.
No, it's all pause. Okay. We have a shit ton of picks. You want to trade up like a little bit? I'm just saying, like, what if we gave up the Pittsburgh's? No, they won't like that. 148. Pick 148. Would you give that up to move up?
Yeah, I'd probably give it up to go get Fannin. Yeah.
Offer that trade. Cool. We did it. We're here. We got Fannin. Because I talked about this when you weren't on the pod with Q when he was here a couple weeks ago. I love the fact that he's just a Swiss Army knife because you're going to be able to play him at your tight end, but you can also put him as like that funky fullback role. So now we don't have a fullback. Now you can have him be in that position. You could play him out wide. I don't think they'll do it as much at this point in time. But I just think he's got a lot of versatility for.
Oh, there he is, Jalen Noel.
Oh, I spelled it wrong. That's why. Well, look at it.
There he is.
You want him here? I'm fine with it. Why don't you explain why you like Jalen Noel? I'm fine taking him here. The Bears need another receiver.
So I actually have notes on him. Hold, please.
Beautiful.
So I like Jalen Noel as a football player. He's got that big body. He's a little bit older. I don't know how he's going to test. Honestly, he's already 22. He's 5'11", 201. So thicker, not huge. I just really like his game. Like, I think he's tough. I just think he knows how to play football. Here, I'm getting to I actually have pictures of my notes, so I got to scroll. Yes, you walk. So I like him a lot in the slot. He's got an array of release packages. He's quick, but really good in open space. He actually, as much as his career didn't pan out, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Ryan Switzer's game coming out of UNC. But obviously not every player you like is going to pan out. I just really liked Noel coming out of Iowa State, and I think he could be a really solid football player, especially for a team that at the moment really doesn't have a true slot wide receiver.
I'm good with it. Jalen Noel. There we go.
Just completely ignoring the defense.
And we don't need to worry about that.
Just score points, baby.
All right.
Actually, I like both the Iowa State kids that blew up the Senior Bowl. Both of them played very well.
They're both very intriguing. I'm curious ultimately what that's going to look like. All right, 35 picks. Oh, Seth McLaughlin, one of the only other like true centers, finally went in round, was this 5?
And I'll be honest with you, just like I'm focusing a lot on just running backs and linebackers in this draft class, just because being a father, you have to pick and choose. I can't go through like the in-depth breakdowns that I usually would. This draft, even from the guys I have been able to take a look at, it just doesn't excite me the way others have. Like I feel like you're just missing talent.
No,
like, I'm not sure if that's like the COVID thing finally catching up with you or what, but
and it's weird. It's sections, right? Like defensive tackle is fantastic for this draft, and of course we didn't even take a defensive tackle, so that's probably a mistake on our end. But defensive tackle, running back, they're very good, but then everything else is kind of like, meh.
It's fine.
Okay, so I mean, really, the Bears. I think the Bears, at some point in the next 3 picks they have, need a safety because of Jaquan Brisker's injury, because we talked about potentially
just
cutting.
Go with the best on the board and just take Achille Arnold.
Achille Arnold. I will do the thing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be at that pick, like for the Bears, but like in real life, but they need to address safety in some way just to have some depth there. Because yes, Jonathan Owens is fine. I mean, you saw Hicks come in and be fine, but you know, at some point you're probably gonna need like a starter, so you need to throw some stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Not necessarily around 5, 6 isn't where you necessarily get your starters, but you know.
And this is where you can tell we're still so early in the draft process. Tyler Show is not going to be in there in like the 7th round.
Oh no, he's going to be pushed long gone. Oh, seeing if there's any names that stand out here. Don't need to overly.
Zachary Franklin.
God, we just have so many receivers. Like, we're going to have to cut so many people.
Yeah, there's so many receivers.
I mean, technically, we still don't have a developmental center. Now that our Ian Cunningham has left, we can keep my boy, but still.
Yeah, Ian Cunningham got hired in Jacksonville. You know, he's gone. Bye, Kyrie.
Mid draft. Okay, that's the thing. I don't really know anything about these guards. I'm not even going to pretend like I know anything about Marcus Ware.
You don't know about the Montana State legend? What?
I do not. We're gonna draft out of Georgia because they have athletes. We're gonna draft Smail Mondin because he's got a sweet name, and honestly, the Bears do need linebacker depth. So,
and that's a special teamer.
Yep, you just need people to run down the field and hit hard. So we're gonna take him, and then we have one more pick still. Final pick in the draft. All you. Danny, what position do you think it should be more than anything? Like, well, because the players here is a little bit erroneous.
I mean, I would say just corner.
Draft a young corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
I subscribe to the James Franklin theory. James Franklin recruits athletes but can't coach at all, so pick the Penn State kid.
Get the athlete, Cam Miller. Watch, he's gonna turn out he's just super unathletic.
He's gonna be like a 4'6" guy. Like, cool.
All right, draft wrapped
we
up.
Should have taken Alfred Collins. I regret this.
Yeah, it's fine. So the draft here is because a bunch of these guys, at least in my opinion, are going to move up in the draft. Like, I don't think Tyler Booker, he might go higher. Marcus Mabeau, I think, could go higher. Same, it's at that the Michael Williams even, right? We got him at 13, and so they only gave us a B for him. But he could be a top 5 guy for all we know by the time the combine is over and all that stuff.
All right.
Kamora Daddy, I don't really know anything about Mike Hunt at this point, but thanks for putting him on my radar. I will look into him out of Tennessee State.
Ha! He got you.
I thought it was funny. Okay. Oh, we don't need this page. All right, building the depth chart. I mean, so obviously, by the way, we would go back and potentially cut more people, right? Because we need to. We're well above the number. So some of those people we argued about now, we could go back and say, do we need you anymore? But just to run through this relatively quickly, right? Caleb Williams and Tyson Bagent. Great. I guess quick aside, do the Bears need someone else at backup, or are you happy with Bagent?
I think Bagent's fine. He's cheap and he's shown that he's capable.
Agreed.
Like I would love to say, hey, yeah, go sign Teddy Bridgewater or something, but it just doesn't feel necessary.
No. Running back. We got pick 30. Where are you? Why didn't you pop
41.
Up? Yeah, but it didn't populate over there. Anyway, pick 41, which for some reason isn't showing here, but that's Quinten. Would be, in my opinion, he's now our workhorse.
Mm-hmm.
And DeAndre Swift as a backup. Wide receiver 1, we got DJ Moore. Wide receiver 2, we got Rome. Wide receiver 3 is Tim Patrick.
Yeah.
Backups, we're just gonna put some people in here. Where are you? I just had it. Tyler Scott, you survived somehow. Tutu Atwell, you're in there. And then where did we take Jalen? I should have written down their actual numbers too. He was 114.
Yeah, Jalen 114.
Oh, cool. I can't write that because it's different. All right. Well, we're pretending like we know he's there. Jalen's there. Tight end, we're starting. We got Cole Kmet. And then we also have our boy Harold Fannin, which we got him at pick 88. Also can't put it there. Cool. It's because, to be fair, I skipped steps where we're supposed to indicate the trade, but I just didn't do it. So you have, and this is probably one of the most important things for people are most excited about. You have Braxton Jones at left tackle. Left guard, we're asking Zeitler to play left guard, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, because
Trey has really always played right. Center.
You're not paying $21 million a year to a guard that plays the right side to move into the left side.
Correct. Trey Smith, right guard and right tackle, Darnell Wright. I would, if that was your starting line week 1, how would you feel? So again, Braxton Jones, Kevin Zeitler, Bradley Bozeman, Trey Smith, Darnell Wright.
Yeah, sounds right.
That feels like a solid. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's better. It's much better.
And you also then have Booker waiting in the wings. So let's say there's an injury. Let's say, obviously you want to move on. Maybe you only, it's a deal that you can move on from Zeitler if his play falls off. So you have Booker's waiting there, which is great. Interior defensive line, we got Andrew Billings and we got Javon Dexter backing them up. We got, would Zach Pickens get cut in this scenario with Roy Lopez and Puna Ford, right? I assume so. Maybe.
I think it's potentially possible, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to think he might get cut. Anyway, so Pickens might be a cut. On the edge, we got Montez Sweat. We got Dio backing them up. We got Davenport and Aquara. Feel much better. Oh, I know, Michael Williams. I almost forgot. I forgot our boy.
Boy.
And then probably Michael, right? You're letting him get his feet wet, and then maybe halfway through the year, maybe he actually supplants Dio or something like that. But if your rotation is Montez, Dio, Davenport, and Michael Williams, I mean, you got to feel pretty solid about that.
And I can already hear people listening or watching, you spent $16 million or whatever on a defensive end. Do you understand what good defensive lines have? Bodies in droves. You want to have bodies up front and not just we have a couple of guys. No, you want to be able to throw numbers at it and capable numbers.
Oh, we forgot to bring Jack Sanborn back. It's fine. It doesn't really matter.
I know he's not available in Q spreadsheet, but whenever New Orleans cuts Jamal Williams, he's going to be a Bear in my world because he needs to be here for the vibes.
Pure vibes.
Pure vibes. And he plays special teams.
So basically, just to give a breakdown of everything we just did there, in general, this is your mainly more or less your starting lineup from offense to defense. You got Caleb Williams, Quinton Judkins, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Tim Patrick with Tutu Atwell floating in there along with Jalen Noel. Your line, you got Braxton Jones, Kevin Zeitler, Bradley Bozeman, Trey Smith, Darnell Wright. I would also like maybe if they brought Matt Pryor back. We didn't officially do that in here, but I think having him, Karan, and then Booker, who we just drafted as our backup lineman is a pretty solid one. We still didn't solve the backup center / young center problem, so that's our fault. But Ricky Stromberg season, maybe. Yeah.
And it's so hard. We're trying to condense this into under an hour and a half. Like, we could have kept talking and like working through our thought processes here, but we don't want to get that in depth on just something that's supposed to be like a quick little act of like, well, this is an idea. Like,
exactly.
Quick case in point. I love Quinton Judkins. He might be my favorite running back to watch in this class. I would never take him at 41.
41. No. And in a perfect world, like you said, we would have taken probably Alfred Collins and then, or even traded back because yes, we wanted Quinton, but we could get him later. There's a bunch of different things, but just for the sake of this.
Yeah, or you could have taken 72 and you see him falling and you see him falling to a place where you think you can go get him.
Yeah.
You trade up your 6 spots or whatever to make sure you get your back.
Here's a question. Okay,
and
well, really quickly, let me finish reading through this. Andrew Billings, Gervon Dexter, Montez Sweat, Dio, Marcus Davenport. We drafted Michael Williams as our shiny first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards with Noah Sewell, and we probably, in our reality, are trying to bring Sanborn back. Kind of forgot about him. Smail Mondin on the roster.
That's a person.
Georgia. It is a person. Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Kevin Byard. Kind of rounding out your starting secondary. You still have guys like Jonathan Owens, Elijah Hicks backing them up. We also got another safety in Achille Arnold for some youth, Cam Miller, cornerback for some youth. Overall, if more, again, this isn't perfect, but let's say this is like 80% done-ish, I'd be pretty happy with this going into next year.
I feel like this is almost exactly like the positional breakdown that I had us drafting. Almost exactly.
Yeah, we goofed. We had a little crosshair of what we were saying. We were gonna do Alfred Collins at 41. See where the chips fell for Quinton, but I think Mason got a little bit trigger happy.
Well, to be quite honest, I saw that we were like an hour in, and I was like, well, we really need to move this along.
Put on the GM card.
Exactly. Trigger happy.
He just did the thing.
There we go.
All right.
Realized I didn't have that up there. Cool. Our offense is average, is good. Our defense is average. And again, that's for a pretty quick down and dirty conversation. That's not too bad. Oh, but we got, I don't know if you saw that, Khari, though. So we got Michael Williams, Tyler Booker, Quinton Judkins, Marcus Mabeau, Harold Fannin, Jalen Noel, and then other people exist.
Yep, I saw the whole draft.
Sweet.
The whole draft, rather.
All right, cool. Well, really, we wanted to do this with because we got the combine coming up, super fun, but also we do have free agency coming up. So just an idea of a couple names, a couple people that y'all might want to keep out for. You're never going to get. I mean, like if all of a sudden at the end of the day this team had Dio and Marcus Davenport, that'd be kind of insane. At least in my opinion. I know Marcus is not the same guy, but like that'd be kind of nuts. Being able to go into your draft with that, and even same thing with the line. I mean, can you really get that combo of a Zeitler, Bozeman, Smith interior? Is that realistic? I don't know, but I mean, at least that's where we're hoping it goes. Because I swear, Danny, if you put Josh Myers in the world and it happens, done. You're off the pod.
You can't kick me out.
I live here. You can't kick me out of here. All right. Any closing thoughts? Khari, let you go first since you had to zip out a little bit.
Indeed. Look, I think that the Bears roster, when I was really kind of taking a look at it, again, the foundation is there. And now I think that the key positions like edge, a lot of them is like you need a second good player at key positions. Like you need a second really good player at edge. And I feel like we accomplished that here. with Michael Williams. And will he need time to kind of grow into it? Sure. But I think that, one thing, Dante Scarnecchia, the legendary assistant coach for the Patriots, was like, when you're picking high, you want guys that score touchdowns or sack the quarterback. And the Bears got to sack the quarterback. And so I think that, increasing that defensive talent up front, increasing the offensive talent up front, that is immediately going to improve the floor of this football team.
Agreed.
All right. If Danny doesn't have any thoughts.
No, I mean, I think we did well. Like I said, we had the little gap because of the time, but overall, like the quote that Khari just mentioned from Dante Scarnecchia: sack the quarterback, get the quarterback, score touchdowns, man. Like that, score touchdowns and stop touchdowns. That's what this always comes down to.
Well,
and I think
that's
we
what
accomplished that, like with Dio and Michael, specifically.
All right, that's what we got for today. Again, I wish I could be down at the combine with you, Khari. That would have been awesome. But like I said, I'll be in Tampa Bay, Florida, doing a couple beer fests and stuff. So everyone, make sure you keep up with what Khari's doing. He's going to do an awesome job covering the combine down there. Keep up. Hopefully, you can sneak. Are you going for the GM interviews too, or no?
I forget when those happen. Are those on Wednesday? I gotta look at the schedule. But
they're kind of like they're early. They're early in the week.
What's that?
I would say they're for sure early in the week.
Yeah, so I might not make those, but I know that sometimes like they'll have the players in the morning and then like the coaches and stuff in the afternoon and what have you. So yeah, anything I can get from the GMs and the coaches, I will get.
Beautiful, absolutely love it. And ask if you can, make sure you ask Ben Johnson why he's not listening to Bare Bones yet, and then obviously just give him the link. I
mean, clearly he needs to be on here. I mean, that is more important than anything that he's going to do in the next.
I don't feel like being the fourth dumbest person on this show.
All right. On that note, bear down, everybody.
Doodles.